You're doing this, like you're still.
Look at the fucking arm when
It's
he did
better fucking
that,
duck, eh?
Jesus Christ. You cast a shadow when you put your arm up. It's time to level up. Mentally, physically, and emotionally. If you've ever felt stuck, unmotivated, or unsure of how to push your limits, this episode is for you.
How do you really learn how to master and control your own mental health and emotions if you haven't been tested for years on end to get to that point? Doing something is better than doing nothing.
We sit down with someone who knows exactly what it takes to become the best version of yourself, Kyle Musca.
One thing I've really learned over the years is failure is the fastest path to success. You can literally fail your way to success. It's usually fear and doubt that holds people back. Doubt whether it will actually work, doubt whether they can do it themselves.
Kyle is living proof that with the right mindset, discipline, and guidance, you can break through barriers and achieve things you once thought were impossible.
I mean, what can you do to become a better version of yourself? Life will still throw curveballs at you. Things will still suck. It's allowing yourself to have that outlet.
We're diving into the power of training and discipline, the feeling of finally hitting your goals, and why having a mentor in your corner can be an absolute game changer.
The life you're seeking is in the work that you're avoiding. You know what I mean?
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Shared Minds podcast. Liam, we're in our new studio, right?
Yeah, definitely, Coop. Sorry, I wasn't prepared for you to throw it to me this time because of the other day. But new studio. All of our little knickknacks in the background.
Yep, shows a bit about us. But we're not here for us today, are we?
No, we're not.
We're here for Kyle. Kyle, mate, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Nah, pleasure. Well, mate, look, I've talked prior in the podcast about my fitness journey, and you're actually quite a big key player in that when it first started. So I had a really good mate of mine. We were always sending each other reels about you and your gym advice, and I went, I want to be as big as that guy one day. So signed up to your program, and here we are.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
You mentioned before it was the $1 a day stuff. We haven't done that in ages.
Yeah.
But might bring it back up this, who knows?
It worked first time.
Yeah.
Shared Minds code. There you go.
There we go. So, your courses and starting to go to the gym and really looking after my physical health was a big start on my career to fixing my mental health. So we wanted to get you on because there might be a lot of people listening today that feel stuck in this ruck and don't really know where to go next, and the gym might be a solution for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm keen to dive into that.
Yeah. Sure. So have you seen, you would have seen with a lot of your clients, a lot of mental health shifts and changes once they've started from with you to now?
Yep.
So do you want to explain some of them?
Yeah, so I think, I've got a personal story that of my upbringing, my getting into the gym and everything like that, that started from a mental health sort of aspect. So definitely dive into that. And then just stemming off from that, I guess over the years working with so many different guys, seeing how, the physical changes are great, but how much of a benefit it is from a mental perspective as well. That sort of just reinforces my belief that it is probably one of the easiest and fastest routes to do something directly to pull you out of that rut, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense. Confidence boost, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just, what can you do to become a better version of yourself? First thing you could do is just go straight to the gym. It's something direct. It has an immediate payoff, whereas a lot of things are a return you get in the future, but you don't see that direct, gain straight away.
Well, I guess most things in life, when they're an immediate payoff, they're not really the long-term worth it.
Yeah, 100%.
Those long-term goals. So you mentioned your story. What was your upbringing and what led you down the path of doing this coaching, mentoring?
Yeah, so I guess it was a combination of things. I always played really high levels of sport and everything like that from about the age of 12. So I was always really, really physically active. And then when I graduated school, I sort of was faced with the realization that I didn't have that structure and everything like that moving forward. And I didn't want to get fat at the time, realistically. I was like, shit, I'm going to get fat. And then at the same time, I kind of went through a bit of a breakup, first heartbreak as you do.
Bro.
You know what I mean?
They always trigger something,
Yeah. So I feel getting into the gym, it's always people that usually play high levels of sport or go through a breakup. So I kind of had the double whammy there. And
sad music at the gym, as if you're in a movie. Yeah.
And it honestly just started as me, I guess, needing to take my mind off things and just getting out of the house and forcing myself to get out of the house really. So, and then it just sort of snowballed from there. And I've had ups and downs over the years and everything, but I feel like that's one constant that's just sort of remained, constant throughout that whole time. So,
did you find you got through that breakup a little bit easier with the gym?
Not necessarily. I went through a bit of a depressed period after that. 18-year-old self. You don't know. It's first time experience of heartbreak. You don't know how to, act with it. But I guess it was more so an anchor, if anything. You know what I mean? Like it grounded you to something. And again, it's you can draw the positives out of it. Like if you just sit at home like weeping and feeling sorry for yourself, there's nothing really to, I guess, change that trajectory. But if you're working on yourself and you've got something that makes you feel better about yourself, then time heals all wounds, really.
I think it is, as you said, something to work forward to, something to get up for, something to keep you accountable almost.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys fall into the rut of like thinking that, if I go to the gym, everything will be fixed, or if I go make a bunch of money, everything will be fixed. Like life will still throw curveballs at you, things will still suck, but it's allowing yourself to have that outlet, that time where you focus on yourself and again just work eventually to become that version of yourself that you want to become.
Yeah. So with your clients, do you kind of pre-frame them a lot with that kind of stuff? Do you let them know that just going and picking up a dumbbell is not going to be the be-all and end-all in 1 week?
Yeah. So good question. I think one thing I've really started to, over the last couple of years, really tried to drill in the guys that come through is it's like, we don't expect you to be perfect when you come to us. Like that's an unrealistic goal for us to set. It's an unrealistic goal for you to set. And guys specifically, they usually tend to want to think, I either need to do everything or nothing at all. That usually doesn't work because when you fall short, then you just give up. You're like, this isn't worth it. But if you just focus on like gradually improving week on week, building on where you're at and just making small improvements, one, you get yourself to a really good point relatively short where you are making really good progress. But two, it just allows you to stay a lot more consistent in the long run.
And I had it there, but I forgot it for a second.
No, what I was going to ask is what you're doing now something that you've always strived for, or did you kind of just fall into it?
That's another good question.
Because you live a pretty cool life, because you're doing this full time, yeah?
Yeah.
Turns up in his Raptor.
Brand new Raptor.
Yeah.
You're living a pretty cool life. So is that something that you have always strived for? Like, you're like, when I think of when you were at 18, you're going through that breakup, is this what you were thinking, or is this just kind of fell into it?
Yeah, so not at all. Like I was actually in real estate.
Were you really?
Yeah, from 18 to 21.
Who for?
Professionals down at Burleigh there. So
Wow. Yeah.
When did you finish that?
21, so it would have been...
I think I applied for a job after you quit. No, hang on, wait. Someone quit, a young guy quit, and I remember going in there and handing him my resume in 2021.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Wow.
It would have been 2022 because I was 21.
When did I get into real estate? That's the one next to that crystal shop, hey?
At the time, it was next to Stocklands in Burleigh.
Yeah. I walked in there and I had to hand in a resume and I was shitting my pants.
Yeah.
Or maybe you were, I don't know. I can't remember, but I remember somebody had just left and I ran in and I was like, I'm going to give him my resume. The job was up for like 5 minutes and then I never got a call.
Yeah. So, I was doing that and, I was just sort of working a 9 to 5 because I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that point in time.
I mean, what 18-year-old does, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. There's a bit of a side story. I knew I had to do something. Something's always better than nothing. And then, I don't know, I was just getting into the gym heavily. Like, it was, like, again, a constant throughout that whole period of time. And then COVID hit, so, obviously we couldn't go in. We weren't an essential worker. So had a lot of time, and my mate had a home gym in his shed. And this was, like, through summer and everything. I think it was March, so it was still, pretty warm. And we were just going in there and just meatheading it out, in the shed, like, all metal weights and everything like that. And it was a real meathead period, but I was like, this is something I really, really enjoy. I want to learn more about. And then I went back to uni to do exercise science, actually. And then eventually ended up leaving real estate to go work reception at the UFC gym there in Ashmore.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And then I was doing a lot of content creation. I just like wanted to realistically inspire other people the way that people have inspired me and helped me pull me out of those ruts that I was in. And then it kind of just like, I guess, gathered from there and I was like, I can help more people by actually, applying the knowledge and the skills that I've learned over the years and then handing that over to them to realistically close the gap between point A and point B. There's a lot of confusion, a lot of misdirection through that. If you can make that path as small as possible, then they get the result that they're wanting and then they can get, become that person themselves that they want to be.
And has helping others been something that was always in your like genes growing up? Was it something you found yourself doing regularly, or it was like when you got to the gym, you're watching people bench and you're like, oh, that's so wrong, like the technique? And
to truth be told, I was actually a very like shy, I guess, introverted kid growing up. Like I remember in our high school, my friends' parents actually didn't like me because I was just like so shy. Like I didn't like talking to them or anything like that.
does he speak?
Yeah, literally. So no, I wouldn't say that at all. Real estate actually helped me with that. Just dealing with like rejection day in, day out, door knocking, cold calling.
It really, I hate that gig, but
It's the only benefit that comes
the
out
amount
of it.
of stuff I learned from real estate about myself, some of the awkward conversations you had to have, some of the things that you had to do, like it really makes you grow and it makes you grow fast.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I think it's like, you know, most things you think of negatively at the time usually have a positive outlook once you're through it, if that makes sense.
Well, somebody was asking me that they wanted to get into real estate the other day, and I said, you have to have some of the most uncomfortable, awkward conversations you'll ever have in your life, but no matter how good or bad that phone call goes, by the end of it, you feel good no matter what. Like, they can rip you to shreds.
Yeah.
But you'll get off that phone call still going, at least I actually manned up and did it.
Yeah. Real estate is one of the worst numbers games there are.
Oh.
You hear 1,000 no's before you hear a yes.
Oh. And then you can get 3 yeses in a row.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was pretty young. Who's going to trust an 18-year-old to sell their house?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Thought I'd grow out the beard to make me look older. It just made me look seedy.
Yeah, you got
You kept just the mo.
Yeah. I was like, we'll refine it a bit, yeah.
So
that
I
didn't
was
work.
doing like a bit of research and having a stalk you last night, and like I was just going through your Instagram and posting. So you said you were introverted, and you said real estate sort of helped you get out of that shell. But what else helped you just pick up a camera and start posting on Instagram? Because that's hard. I've gone to do it a million times with this, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I get a bit nervous.
I guess, one, I didn't really expect anything out of it. Like, I was just doing it because I enjoyed doing it. And two, like with most things, like, you're probably going to suck at the start. You know what I mean, it's just reps. It's doing it, you know, day in, day out for years on end before you see a return on it. And I wasn't looking for a return at that, so, like, you know, it wasn't even on my mind at that time. So that helped massively. But just doing it more and more and more. Like, if you scroll back, I actually did this a couple months ago. Scroll back to my first YouTube videos, which I wouldn't recommend, by the way. But
Don't do that.
yeah, I didn't delete them for this reason. But they were like so cringy, you know what I mean? Like they're you know, hard watch for me especially. Like, But you know, you got to suck to start. Like you got to start somewhere, and yeah.
And that's what we watch back some of our ones. It's like when we first started, we didn't have these mics, we didn't have the lights, we didn't have the equipment. We had a plug-in microphone from JB Hi-Fi. We're sitting in this basement here, like with a curtain up, and like it was.
Because I'm single again and I'm dating. I had to actually look at my Instagram and I went, if any girls see this, I am fucked. I'm not finding love.
That's a good point. You know, I do social media for a living, but like my normal Instagram is just like my normal life is nothing.
Yeah.
I get a photo once every 3 months. I'm like, that's pretty good.
Then you post it. No, I'm like, you probably get a few likes with your following, but I post it and I'm like, this is going to go all right. And then I get like 8. What was it, like 3 likes in an hour? And I'm like, I'm ugly.
Everyone hates me. So a question, it's the one that I was going to ask before. I remembered it. So you were saying, like, with your clients, do you see a lot of them, like, refinding their purpose? So are they finding that they're lost, and then when you kind of help them through a discovery through a gym, that can they refine their purpose, or like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think it gives you a sense of direction. It gives you a goal to aim for. Because when people are lost, they just don't know what direction they're heading in. They don't know what they want to do, you know, and they just end up going around in circles. So, you know, again, going and prioritizing your health and fitness, it doesn't have to be a gym. It could be running. It could be playing a sport, whatever the case may be. One, it makes you feel good, like, immediately. But, again, you have a sense of direction of something that you want to aim for. And those skills, the disciplines and everything that come along with that are usually universally transferable into other aspects of your life.
Yeah. Well, that's like the discipline that you can learn from the gym. Like, you can take that anywhere.
Yeah. And I don't like using those analogies because it sounds so meatheadish, but, like, you know... It is the same concept. Like if you go to the gym when you feel tired or you feel run down or you like doubt that you're making progress or whatever, like, but you go anyway, that again applies. Like if you're going to start a business and you're not seeing a return and you're making all these cold calls in real estate and you're just hearing 1,000 no's, the
It's the reps.
Discipline and, the willpower to be able to keep pushing forward without necessarily seeing the end in sight is a really strong personality trait that I think a lot of people don't possess.
Would you say I watched an Andrew Tate video the other day. He's like, if you're not going to go at 100%, why would you even bother going? Would you still say to people to just rock up and go, even if it's just jumping on the treadmill for 20 minutes?
Yeah, I think not necessarily going at 100%, but like taking action is the biggest thing. You know, I mean, you could, at the end of the day, perfectionism is just another form of procrastination. If you wait for life to be perfect, if you wait for, all the ducks to be aligned perfectly, you're never going to get started, right? Just go eat shit, figure out what's not going to work, figure out what's stopping you from doing better, doing more. Solve that problem when you get to it. If you try and solve all the problems before they've even arisen, then you're never going to get started.
No, you're right.
I do like that. Do you get a lot of people battling that? So they kind of reach out to you and go, oh, I'm waiting for this, I'm waiting for this. Or not really if they're messaging you and they're ready to go. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've heard every different excuse.
Oh, you would have, yeah.
So, yeah, like a lot of, it's usually fear and doubt that holds people back. Whether it be doubt whether it will actually work, doubt whether they can do it themselves. So, yeah, 100%. People will say, like, oh, when this happens, I'll start. And usually it's the opposite. It's like you'll get that when you start, if that makes sense.
Do you have advice for someone that's a bit scared to sign up to a gym and to go in?
That was actually one of our questions from the audience. It's advice for people who are too embarrassed to go to the gym.
So,
sorry, Kerb.
No, it's all good.
Threw you off there.
It's all right.
There's a couple things there. One is start small. You know what I mean? Whether that be, this is going to vary from individual to individual, but if it just starts at you doing a couple push-ups and sit-ups and everything like that at home, like that's where I started. Like I just, remember just doing dumbbell curls in my garage and, doing 100 sit-ups every night and push-ups and everything like that. So you could start that small if you wanted to. Otherwise, just go to a quiet gym. And there's plenty of like Anytime Fitnesses or Fitness First, all those types of things that, aren't very big and have barely any members. And they're not massive jacked guys that are going in there and like preparing for a bodybuilding comp. They're just people that are trying to go and like, get healthy, get a little bit fitter, but they're not taking it super, super seriously. So like I personally started at Jet's Mudra Bar way back in the day. That was very quiet. There's only ever a couple other people in there, and then middle-aged women or young couples, stuff like that. It's not a very intimidating environment. So you don't have to go to the biggest, scariest gyms. You can work up to that. So just start small. And then I think you are what you watch at the same time. So, I used to watch like a lot of David Lade and like Zach Perner and stuff.
Zach Perner, yeah. I was talking about him today.
Yeah, I told him actually he's one of my big three that got me into fitness.
Yeah?
So Zach Perner, Steve Cook, all that stuff. And that, inspired me and motivated me to go train and get into the gym and take it seriously. So I think watching that type of content, whether it be educational or just entertainment type stuff, like that will help you also get over the hurdle of feeling anxious. And at the same time, like I remember walking into the gym, like all these dudes are massive. Like, you're going to have that anxiety, but it settles pretty quick once you just get in there consistently and go.
Bro, I walked into World Gym Burley with a mate once. Fuck. I've been going to the gym for 5 years, hey? And I walked in going, this is a beast of its own. I was so anxious in there. I was like, fuck, can I use the weights? Like, almost asking, like, can I just pick, can I borrow this?
World Gym Burley's not even that bad. World Gym Ashmore at like peak time.
Is that worse, is it?
Oh, it's just like bodybuilding gym, you know what I mean? Like
there's
massive units in there,
I was like scared to use a machine, I was like, someone using this one?
They come and just pick you up off the machine and put you on the floor. Like,
he's like, that's mine. I'm like, oh no.
Oh, and just to add on to that as well, you find that the gym is like one of the most supporting environments once you actually
get really in there. Is.
Like, people in there like trying to better themselves, and like they're not going to hate on you for trying to better themselves. And if they are, it's a reflection of who they are, not who you are.
Yeah, something I've said before is everyone in the gym is just looking at themselves. Like, man, I look at myself in the mirror for the whole hour I'm there, don't I?
Yeah.
I don't know who's in there.
Yeah.
You look up and go, where'd everyone go?
Yeah, Luke Combs could walk past me. I wouldn't see him.
Yeah. And if anything, like, me personally, like, the person I respect most in the gym is that person who is overweight, but I see them, like, in there constantly
100%.
trying to better themselves. Like, that inspires me more, and I have more, more respect for them than that guy who's like super, super jacked, who's obviously put in a lot of work and been very, very consistent, but like that is, for me, is more inspirational because it's like they're in there solidly trying to make a change for themselves.
Definitely.
It's something I've always thought about is like when you see someone in there, as you said, like a bigger person, and you've watched them over time become fitter and they've kept the consistency up. Do you have a tendency of going up to those people and being like, I notice what you're doing, keep it up?
Not necessarily, but for the sake that I don't want them to like feel uncomfortable or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by all means, like if you go up to them like, hey, I see you all the time, like, you know, I think you're doing awesome, like that's going to uplift them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, even I still get that gym anxiety. I'm not going to walk up to a random stranger type thing, you know?
Yeah.
How did you? That's another thing because I was watching you as well, and that would have been really hard for you to put a lapel on and start talking at the gym. How was that?
Yeah, I mean, it was awkward, for sure. But you know, you do it enough, like it just becomes a thing. You know what I mean?
Do you do it in the busy gyms or do you go to like a quieter gym to do it?
Really, I think.
Yeah. So back in the day, I used to, but I'd always like make sure I don't go at peak times and stuff like that. You know, at the end of the day, like if you're filming in there and you're getting other people's sweat, it's a bit of a dip. So I'd always go at quiet times and everything, which would help a bit. But yeah, it's like just reps. You know, you get used to it pretty quickly if you're doing it a lot.
So did you start by just doing little things that made you uncomfortable beforehand? Because we had a guy on the last week that was good for social anxiety, and he was teaching us quite a little bit about it. And he was just saying, mate, do things that make you a little bit more uncomfortable, and then you'll eventually be able to do the bigger things.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, at the end of the day, if you let the opinions of other people stop you from doing what you want to do, then, like, you're never going to live the life that you really want to live. Like, things are going to be uncomfortable, but that's where you grow. That's where you become a better version of yourself. You build character.
Yeah. You don't grow by sitting there doing nothing, eh?
Yeah, if it doesn't challenge you, you're not going to change.
No, exactly. So you run this coach program full time now, right?
Yep.
How long have you been doing it full time?
Full time.
Were you doing like real estate and this at the same time?
I went to uni after.
Yeah, so no, I did real estate, went to uni, was working at the UFC gym.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
of
it got
course,
to the point where the business started picking up while I was at uni, so then I went and focused on that. So it would have been, I'd say maybe like 2.5 years.
How was the leap of faith there going, I'm taking this full time?
I don't remember it being too scary, to be honest, but I remember just like working relentlessly on it. Like I would do a 10-hour shift at the UFC gym on a Sunday from, it was 2 p.m. till 10 p.m. at night. And then I would go home and I would like work on programs all through the night.
Wow.
To get it done, you know, get it up and running and everything like that. So I think, you know, if you have, it's scary and you're going to have anxiety about it, but like if you're out working those nerves, like you will have the confidence, and it builds over time, especially once you see that return coming in eventually. But I think you can sort of outwork it, really.
And isn't it crazy to think that there's jobs out there that you do and you do it for like 3 hours in a day and you're like, ugh, but like when you do your own thing that you love, you can just go for hours and not stop.
Yeah, I think it's just where your passion lies, really. Like, you know, if you're constantly looking at the clock, wanting to be somewhere else, you're not going to do your best quality work anyway.
No. And for someone who has found their passion in life and what they want to do, what advice would you have for people looking for their passion? Do you have that answer?
Yeah. One, doing something is always better than doing nothing. So when I graduated, graduated high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went and I did a business degree at university. I was only there for a trimester. Because I realized, like, well, why do a business degree when, you know, my dad owns a real estate agent? I could just go practice business and actually do business and get paid for it. You know what I mean? So shifted over to that. That gave me the ability to handle rejection, to be able to talk to people on a daily basis, to be able to communicate well. And then also, understand that, I guess that like the moving parts of the business, I guess, as well, was really good to see. And then, you know, I moved into, fully lost the train of thought there, but as you do. But I think doing something is always better than doing nothing. And then once you're doing something, opportunities will arise and you will slowly fall into realizing what you actually want to do.
Absolutely.
But if you do nothing, nothing's going to come.
Yeah. And even if and we've said that a few times, it's like a concept we talk about all the time is how much luckier could I get? So it's like not thinking about luck as in like lucky. It's going out there, finding opportunities. And then when you find those opportunities, taking full advantage of them. So yeah, if you're out and about finding opportunities, then yeah. As you said.
The harder you work and harder you look, the luckier you tend to get.
Yeah, exactly. Because luck is just the opportunities. So how important is diet linked to mental health? Because obviously diet and fitness is a big tie-in together, but what about diet to mental health? Or like mental clarity?
Yeah, so this is something because I remember actually it was like March 2022, I think, where I started dialing diet for the first time for me.
Yeah.
One, from a physical progression point, it will take you to a whole nother level. But there's a difference between calories and macros, and then also a well-rounded, micronutrient dense diet. And I think that's something I've heavily focused on recently, is getting all the nutrients to actually fuel, I guess, that cognitive function and everything like that. Because, when I'm really trying to stack on size, it's like my diet just becomes calories, fats, and carbs and stuff like that. Basically, it's not the best diet. I'm not gonna. But then
KFC.
Just straight bulk.
It's it just passes and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Just going ham on it. When I cut though, because I have to use those filler ingredients and low calorie, high volume foods, which usually is vegetables and everything like that just comes with a lot more micronutrients. I notice that I instantly feel a lot better. I feel a lot more energized, a lot more switched on, and a lot more focused.
Yeah, and a lot more, you can channel business a lot easier than kind of drifting off and getting distracted.
Yeah, just energy-wise, I don't feel so lethargic and run down and stuff like that. I feel light, I feel switched on, I feel focused.
When it comes to losing weight, it can be really confusing, the calories and the macros and the proteins and what you can eat, how many meals, how many calories. Do you have any advice for people? How do you even count them? I don't even.
As you take a bite, one.
Yeah, how do you count them? Is that something you learn, or you use an app or something?
Yeah, so I think, to be honest, the concept of losing weight or gaining weight or whatever the case may be, it's relatively simple. It doesn't necessarily make it easy, especially it's usually a mindset thing, but that's a different conversation. In terms of counting calories and stuff it's pretty easy. There's plenty of apps and everything like that. You can use MyFitnessPal, scan a barcode. Really, you just have to understand how to weigh an ingredient, and then you're good. And I think it's more so a lack of knowledge. It's not necessarily, again, a hard thing to do. It's just a lack of knowledge around that. And once you understand that, you can do anything. And that's why I don't like diets and stuff like that, like carnivore diets, keto diets, and everything like that. People lose the weight, but they don't understand why they lost the weight. So when they inevitably stop that diet, they gain all the weight back, and then they feel like shit because it's you just put in all that work to end up in the same position, if not worse, than when you started. But if you understand how to do things properly, then you can eat virtually whatever you want, and you'll never struggle with it again, because if you need to tighten things up, you tighten things up. You just track your calories and you're good.
Yeah, because I found a meal. It was low carb wraps with these chicken things, and then I just put lettuce and corn and rice in them.
Yeah.
And I lost I think I lost 30 kilos. So I just ate that for 2 years.
Yeah.
I didn't even change my diet once because I had no idea how to count calories or anything.
Yeah. It's you can do it like that, to be honest.
Even now I go, if I have a light lunch, I'm going to have KFC for dinner.
Yeah.
Balanced diet, eh?
I was eating KFC 4 times a week. I wasn't losing
It's got the worst diet you would have ever seen.
Man, you should see my diet.
Yeah.
I eat the same 3 meals.
Yeah. It's not bad. People like variety, and variety is good and everything like that. But in a weird way, the less freedom you have, the less opportunity you have to break on whatever you're doing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? If you're only eating the same 3 meals all the time, you just know that's not what I'm eating. I'm not going to eat it. I mean, you don't even think about it.
One thing I wanted to know is I heard this real early. Maybe it was from Zach Perner. I don't know, but it was say you're eating healthy for say 2 weeks, right? Apparently your body gets used to it, and if you have a cheat meal, it resets your body. Is that actually a thing, or was I just telling myself that to feel better?
Yeah, so that's known as metabolic adaptation. So basically what happens is you're eating in a calorie deficit for an extended period of time. You'd have to do it for longer than 2 weeks. But basically your metabolism adjusts downwards, so it stops burning as many calories to try and conserve energy. And then if you have a diet break or a refeed meal, it can help to just like push that back up a little bit. So it's like, yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I thought it just like gave you a kick restart.
Is that something that like you can recommend doing, or is it not good long term, or is it?
No, the studies behind it and everything like that all very much support it. So there's different ways you can do it. So a refeed, for example, would be, people can class this as a cheat meal, but it's like the wording you use around it. A cheat meal usually tends to be like, go smash KFC and a bunch of chocolate and chips and shit like that. Whereas a refeed meal, it's like, you're allowed, let's say 500 extra calories, but like go eat a steak and something that's actually going to,
bit of protein in that.
Refeed you, like provide you with that nutrients that you're looking for and actually going to help to sustain you. That's like a 1 or 2 day thing. So it's like, let's say your weekly average is 14,000 calories, so 2,000 calories a day. You can just adjust down your 5 days of the week to 1,800 calories. You bank those 200 calories to allow 1,000 extra calories on the weekend. And then you can either have it on one day, like 1,000 extra calories on one day, or you can split it up so you can have 500 extra calories on 2 of those days. That's a refeed. Whereas a diet break may be like, let's say you've been in a calorie deficit for 8 weeks. You can't really adjust your calories down anymore because you're already fairly hungry, you're already low on energy. It just wouldn't like be reasonable for you to do that. Then you just come back up to maintenance calories for about a week to allow everything to adjust back up, and then you just keep going back on.
Fuck. Right. Gotcha. And so you learn all this at uni, right?
No, so I actually learned this through Clean Health and nutrition courses and everything like that. I did this through them. Because
like to me, it just, in my head, it's just like, huh? But it's like, for you, when you started learning this, did it just sink in straight away and it just clicked and it made sense for you?
Yeah, so the uni degree definitely helped. So I did 2 years of the exercise science degree.
Yeah.
And then basically, the business started to pick up and I kind of looked down the pipeline of the remaining 2 years and it just wasn't stuff that was like necessarily applicable to what I wanted to do. I was like, well, I'm not going to spend another 2 years and probably 25 grand on a degree that I'm not really going to use. Leading up to that point though, the first 2 years was all the advanced biomechanics, functional anatomy, the physiology, all that stuff. So that was all very, very useful. And then I guess that helped me directly be able to apply anything else I learned from the further courses that I did, which is what I decided to do. I was like, well, I'm not going to spend another 2 years doing that stuff that's irrelevant. I'm going to go and learn the exact stuff that I want to learn so I can actually apply it to what I want to do. So then when I went and did that, it's like, okay, that just makes sense. It clicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask, because you've got a clearly pretty good rig there, as you'll see on the camera. How long are you training for, and how many sets and reps are you doing of each exercise? So say you're going to do chest, how many, is it sets?
Yeah. Sets is like, you'll do 3 of it, and then 10, and then reps is how many you do in that set.
Yeah, there you go.
You'd think you've been gym longer than you have, right?
So you do how many sets and how many reps in each, and then how long would you consider staying at the gym for? And would you consider doing like chest and tries in one session, or giving? And I'll follow that up. Just it.
So
I'll pile 8 questions on one there. If you let me get going.
Funnily enough, I like train in terms of duration and everything like that and volume less now than I probably ever have.
Yeah.
Simply because back in the day it was like, go to the gym for like 2 hours and just like drop set everything and, yada, yada, yada. But now, especially like once you start to understand how to do things properly, it really more so comes down to intensity. I mean, you can, if you're spending like 2 hours in the gym, you're not training hard enough, realistically.
If you can stay there for 2 hours, you
shouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
If you can train, 6-7 days a week, again, you're not training hard enough. You need that recovery.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like from a training perspective, the growth is going to come down to training intensity. So you can get away with doing less if you're working harder. And you don't build up as much fatigue. You get more bang for your buck, basically. So to answer your question, sets and reps, this is a broad question because it depends on like if you're going through a full program, like at what period you are at. But like right now, what I'm doing is like, I'll do 2 muscle groups a session, usually 3 sets, 3 exercise, 3 sets per. So, 18 sets total for the session. And then I'll usually start off with a lower volume towards the start of the session. So it might be anywhere from like 5 to 8 reps, then 8 to 10 reps, then 10 to 12 reps. And then usually it'll be a smaller muscle group after that. So it might be like sort of that 8 rep range, 10 rep range, 12 rep range.
Okay, and are you doing like a push-pull layout, or do you do like chest, arms, back, like each day?
Yeah, so because I'm training 5 days a week, I like to have a little bit more frequency mixed in. So like doing like chest, back, on individual days is known as a bro split. I think
Split.
Yeah, that's what they used to do back in the day. I think like if you're training 4 days a week, like that's where it makes a lot of sense to do, because you can kind of like collapse that volume into those 4 sessions. Whereas because I'm training 5, I can get away with a bit more frequency. Helps recovery and everything like that. So I usually do either a push-pull legs or like sort of a bit of a hybrid where it'd be like push-pull legs, shoulders and arms, so you get an arm workout in there, and then chest and back, which is what I'm currently doing at the moment.
Okay, and would you say like for like your 5-day training, would you do like Monday to Friday, or would you do like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off, Thursday, Friday?
Yeah, so this really comes down to your schedule. Like at the end of the day, like, if you have to just do 5 days straight, like that's what you have to do. Ideally though, and what I do is like 3 days on, 1 off. So it'll be like Monday to Wednesday on, Thursday I'll rest, Friday, Saturday on, and then Sunday I'll rest.
Yeah.
Sunday has always been my international just rest day. It's like, I think I've trained like maybe twice in my entire gym career on a Sunday.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the holy day.
It's the day of rest.
So when it comes down to...
God rested on the 7th day.
So when it comes down to... say you're doing... So like when I'm doing arms, right, am I better off going for reps, like say 15 kilos... Say I'll do 15, I can get to 12. But say I wanted to go a bit heavier, say I did like 20 kilos. Am I better off, and I can only do 4 of them in each set, am I better off doing lighter and more reps rather than heavier and less?
So the science sort of shows that there's no difference in terms of like hypertrophy muscle gain between a rep range of 5 to 30. That is the hypertrophic rep range. So as long as you're in that range, you'll grow the same amount of muscle if you train
Really?
intensity. Yeah.
So if I'm doing 12 instead of 10, I'm just chucking in 2 for no reason.
Yeah. So then it really just comes down to recovery and fatigue management. So it's like I don't really ever go above like 15 reps max.
Yeah.
Reason being is because like it's the last 5 reps. They're known as stimulating reps. They're the most important. They're not all created equally. All right. So before you fail. So if you train right to fail, you can't lift the weight anymore. You've got 5 stimulating reps, right? So you can do less volume in total. Whereas if you train 3 reps in reserve, then you've only gained 2 stimulating reps, right? So it's like you have to do pretty much 2.5 more sets just to get the same amount of stimulating reps, right? So realistically, the further you push things closer to that higher end of that rep range, between like really 20 to 30 in my opinion, you just start to accumulate too much fatigue, and it's not the fact that your muscle can't move the weight anymore. It's just because you've acquired that fatigue, and you just can't psychologically push yourself to that point.
So it's more of a mental thing, really.
Yeah, like training intensity. Like there's still times where I always like try and push to failure. There's still times where I'm like, all right, I'm just going to keep like going and try and push through that, and I'll even surprise myself. So it's like it sounds like a simple concept, but it's like a lot more difficult than you'd think.
Well, what were you saying about the runners the other day? The marathon runners?
Oh, when your body starts or your mind starts telling you to stop, you've still got like 70% to go until your body will actually give up.
Yeah, so...
That's crazy, eh?
It's like Goggins, eh? That's why he just keeps going.
Yeah.
He just beats the brain every single time.
Yeah, 100%.
I think you're only at like 30% of your capacity of what you can do. Like you'll keep being able to go.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Because I've been like, do I do 10 reps? Do I do 12? Should I do heavier? Should I do lighter?
Just pick up the 50s, do 1 curl each, and then put them down and call it a day.
No, you're going to get to 5. As long as I can get to 5.
Yeah, it's a broad conversation to have, because it's like, if you go in there and you do 5 and your form sucks, you're probably just going to get injured because you're lifting too heavy, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, and that's where, so in a program you have like different blocks of periodization, and realistically that first block is like a coordination building. You're understanding the weights you should be using within that like rep range, and usually that's a little bit higher. I usually do it like program between like sort of 10 to 12, or like, again, anywhere from like 10 to 15 reps, depending on the exercise. And then as you move through, you'll start like increasing the load. You'll start progressively overloading. You dial your form in, your coordination, everything like that. And then you can move into those lower rep ranges and use those heavier weights. Yeah.
Okay. One other thing I wanted to ask. Is there any like not conspiracies? What's the word?
Wives' tales.
Yeah, like wives' tales. Like I watched a video once, and you know this one, how you do this with the weight.
Yeah.
Does that do anything? Is there
So
anything like that?
vertically does to warm up the rotator cuff. Horizontally doesn't. So it's
Oh,
just
that's the one. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like it's just the line of like when you're using free weights, the line of pull is in line with gravity, so it's directly down. So when you're doing this, like you're still working the shoulder. And
Look at the
rotator
fucking
cuff.
arm when
It's
you
better
did that,
fucking duck, eh?
Jesus Christ. It cast a shadow when you put your arm up. It blocked the light. I think that makes sense. Like you're doing like overhead pushing and you're going that way with dumbbells, you feel nothing. So
Yeah, well, realistically, it's like it's just your bicep holding the weight up at that point in time, like when
And-
it's
yeah.
horizontally.
This other one too. You know how you... No, I heard this years ago. And every time I see someone do it in the gym, I go, I wonder if that's a fucking myth or not. These ones with for like abs.
oh yeah.
We'll try and put up, when we put this on Instagram, we'll try
Yeah,
and put
I
on
know
there.
what to talk about.
You know that one with the weight? I always heard, I don't know again if it was Zach Perner. I go back to him because I feel like he's the only gym guy I actually ever watched. Maybe it wasn't him. I don't want to put him on the spot. But I heard that
Yeah.
one doesn't actually do anything.
I mean, it probably just doesn't do that much. Like, you might do a little bit, but realistically, I mean, I don't train abs. Most.
And do you need to? And that's another thing I hear. Do you need to train them to get abs?
Yes and no. To see your abs, you just need to be lean enough, but they are still a muscle. So if you want to focus on them to make them bigger, you can do that.
Yeah.
But it's like, for me, you know, you've only got so much time in a week, you know what I mean? Like, and it's trying to balance that.
Yeah. There's sometimes like I'll lay there and I'll feel through the fat and I go, oh, there they are. You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
feel them. You go,
Yeah, you get the
I
top
do
ones
have them.
first.
Yeah.
Bro,
I do have 'em.
another one. Sorry. Muffin top. I have
I was
got
actually
the
going to ask this
worst.
one. Yeah.
I've got the worst muffin top, and it's this. I can't get rid of it. I got to 71 kilos. I had veins on my abs. Still had muffin top. Is there anything I can do?
Yeah, you just got to lose more weight. At the end of the day. Really? That's pretty much it. Like, it's just where your body naturally stores fat. Like, you know, a lot of men tend to hold it around their, like, lower back.
Oh yeah, I hold it for everyone.
Yeah.
It's horrible, man. When I start bulking, when I'm eating more KFC, I get it straight into the hips. Hey,
Yeah.
straight into the hips, and it's gross.
Yeah, no, it stacks on quickly. Unfortunately, it's sad. It's sad for everybody else. But yeah, you just got to like keep cutting a little bit more weight. You know, there's ways to go about it properly. But yeah,
Would you say that more cardio would be a fix to something like that, a muffin top, or not just general lose more?
no, not necessarily. Cardio is good to throw in there. It's more so for cardiovascular health. You know, keeping your heart and everything healthy. But realistically, exercise activity alone only contributes to about 5 to 10% of your total daily energy expenditure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like trying to outwork a bad diet. You just
You can't.
loosen it up. You can't at all. It's physically impossible to do.
Okay.
There was a story that you put on yesterday about, it was something along the lines of like trying to get people motivated and like, how do I get off the lounge? Do you remember that
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
I listened to that and I went, I want to bring that up in the show because I thought it was just excellent. So do you remember the exact wording of how you said it or the general
the
gist of
concept,
it?
Yeah, the concept of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would. Yeah. I think you showed me.
So, yeah, I mean, as I said in that story, it's like the most asked question in the fitness space is like, you know, how do you find motivation, everything like that, to go to the gym and stuff like that. And at the same time, it's like the most answered question. Everyone knows the answer, right? It's discipline.
They just
right?
don't want to know the answer.
Yeah, it's not, you know, you can't sugarcoat it. I think discipline, yeah, it does need to kick in. I think, as I said, like, you know, motivation will come and go. And when you have motivation, like, yeah, ride that wave as far as you can. Make as much progress as you can. Get into the routines and the habits while you can. Like, use it to your advantage. But there will be times where you know, feel tired. You doubt what you're doing is working. You just don't want to get up because you're exhausted. You have a big day, or like maybe, you know, you've just had an argument with your missus and she's been a bit of a bitch, and you just, you know, I mean, whatever the case may be. There's going to be times where you just don't feel like getting up and going, right? Yes, then discipline has to kick in for sure, but realistically, it just comes down to asking yourself a simple question: is like, is getting up and going and doing the thing that you don't want to do in order to get where you want to be, or whatever it is you're trying to do, worth more than giving into that short-term urge of just chilling out on the couch and you know, not being bothered to go do it? And realistically, for a lot of people, it's not worth it. That's why they give up. I mean, you've got to ask yourself that question, and you know, if that's your answer, then there's your answer. You just don't want it enough, you're not going to go do it.
Yeah, because there's like, I'm guilty of it sometimes, and I know you are. It's like when you just
What's this first?
I'll say it before I throw you under the bus then. So like there's times where you've trained, and there's days where you wake up and you go, I just don't want to go.
Oh yeah, hate it.
And like not going for that 1 or 2 days is not going to completely ruin everything you've built, right? Like you can allow yourself a bit of flexibility and a bit of freedom.
Yeah, so this might be a little bit of controversial. I think it's not, missing 1 or 2 days training wise, it's not going to affect you physically or anything like that, especially if there's a legitimate reason to do so. But I think showing up regardless reinforces the mindset of like, you're not going to let things, these little obstacles or roadblocks stop you. And don't get me wrong, like, not every session is going to be good. And sometimes it's like, it might not be a full session, but just getting in there and like, doing something, and even if you're in there and out of there within half an hour, 45 minutes, it's sort of more so reinforcing the mindset rather than the actual physicality of it.
Yeah. What?
No, I'll ask it. This is a dumbass question. Asking girls out at the gym is that I'm recently single, but I was in a 10-year relationship, right? And like, I've been fighting this, right? Because I'm like, can you ask women out at the gym, or is that weird? This is just a weird question.
I always say like.
But I thought you would have the.
But it's like if she says no, then you got to change gyms.
Yeah. Is that like an unspoken rule? I don't know.
Yeah, try to stare at her and see if she like notices and
Drool
comes
a
and
bit.
talks to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's still a question I'm trying to figure out.
No.
If he can't do it, then you're fine.
Bro, hit me the other day. I was like, oh, this girl's staring a bit. You know when you do them, you look back and they're having a look, and you go, and then you get in your head, and you're like, should I ask her out? And then I'm like, yeah, but if she says no, I've got to see her tomorrow night, and then the day after.
Just ignore her. Never make eye contact.
Do I just go in head down and just go, fuck it?
Yeah, you probably have some crazy training sessions after that, to be honest. Like,
I got to stop falling in love at the gym, and it's so hard sometimes because you just romanticize. You're sitting there going, we could fall in love and that.
We get married in Hawaii.
Is that allowed or not?
I think
you reckon probably.
Yeah, you've got to approach it correctly. I think it's more of a long-term play.
Long-term,
yeah, you got to make eye contact a couple of times and get to the point where you're kind of like saying hi when you're passing them, and then if you get to a first name basis, like it's all right. Now we can start a conversation. You know what I mean?
You kind of got to put the feelers out before you jump into it.
Yeah,
100%.
Long game.
That's like
I've been fighting with it, bro, because I want to get myself. I've never asked like for a girl. I don't think ever like asked for a girl's number or anything, and part of me wants to like get out of my comfort zone after talking to that guy last week, even talking to you, like because you're introverted and you keep doing these things, and I'm like, I really want to try, but I'm like, fuck,
I think it's a multi-step
Give me some
process.
dialogue.
it's kind of like in How I Met Your Mother, how Barney went to the gym and then they went, "What are you doing here?" And he goes, "I'm checking in on my investments." Remember that? And he's like coming along really well, and he's complimenting all these women, and that was so funny.
No, that's funny. That's been playing on my mind. I said to Kirby, it's kind of like. I said, like, yeah, what if she's just looking off in my direction, just like maybe looking at herself in the mirror and I'm just right in front of it? And then I was like, is it an unspoken rule? And then I was like, it might be uncomfortable for girls to go into the gym. There's all these guys just staring at them. And I was like, I don't want to be one of them dudes.
Yeah. It's
so
hard one to juggle.
I think it's like if they've got headphones on and they're just like locked in, I think that's a sign of like...
Get the fuck away.
Yeah. Fucking creep, but
when they come next to you to work out, and you're like, would they be here if I wasn't here?
Yeah. Is this a sign?
Does she want me?
You're thinking about it for like 3 weeks. I should have asked.
I get home, bro, and I go to my mum. I go,
He's delusional, eh? He lives in the head, eh?
Oh, in the head, bro. Yeah, I'm like, I'll think about it a long time, and then the next night they don't work out near me, and I go, maybe that was writing notes on my phone. Tonight she was 10 meters away.
Have you got the answer you want?
Yeah, well, I don't think there is one, is there?
I think you
play
gotta
the
start
field.
Friendly conversation. You know what I mean? Like if you can throw it in there.
When you look like you, though, you just fucking It's just...
I don't know. I haven't figured it out, so we're all on the same ship here.
No, that's right. That fucking camera. What I did want to ask is what you do in your profession. I can imagine that there is so many people that want to get to that. Like, I always come across guys that want to sell courses for the gym and they really want to build that following. I don't know if you label yourself as like an influencer or anything, but for people that want to get to your level, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, so I don't like the term influencer.
Neither,
like,
yeah.
It sounds like you work like an hour a day and then you complain about how...
I didn't know how it goes because you have
it's got
a certain
an ick
amount.
attached to it.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
Yeah, so I think one is just... Are you talking about from a coaching aspect? Or
Coaching and getting that following on Instagram. Like, I just come across so many people that are trying to get into that space.
Would the difference be that you actually want to help people?
Yeah, so I think it's got to be like value driven.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be able to provide value without expecting anything in return. Just like, and this is something I really want to focus on moving into the future as well, is just like give everyone the tools so that they can do it for themselves. And then there's going to be a fraction of that audience that do want to either like take things to the next level, or they do really struggle with, mindset, or like, the information stuff around it, the structures, the systems, everything like that, that are going to want to come to you and have that help. But like, give enough information away that people can do it for themselves. So first, be value driven. It's not like I'm the fucking man, like everyone should watch me because I'm the coolest guy on the planet. It's more so like, who can I help and how can I help them? So there's the value component to it. And then I think, we live in a world where it's like everyone's just trying to sell a course to sell a course. You know what I mean? Like, I remember I was at this like apartment or something like this, after a night out, and this guy comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, I'm a plumber, but I don't want to be a plumber. I want to go start selling my own course." And I was like, "Oh yeah, what are you going to teach people?" He's like, "I haven't figured that out yet." I'm like, "So you got no knowledge, you got no experience, like you've got no authority. You haven't, you haven't done anything, that's actually going to be able to help anyone else." What you could do is you could go start your own plumbing business because you're actually an experienced plumber. You know what I mean? Like,
and then teach people how to run a plumbing business.
Build a big plumbing business, and then you can teach people how to be a plumber. You know what I mean? Like, if that's what you wanted to do. But if you don't have experience and you don't have, the proof that you've been able to do it for not only yourself but other people as well, then it's like, it's probably not going to work.
100%.
Yeah.
And that, because I looked at some of your stuff, and even Adam Sullivan, the Cunnies guy, he just provided so much value for people where, like, you almost wanted to buy his course because you're like, if you're giving me this much value on Instagram,
for free,
like, you almost didn't even need to buy his stuff. He provided so much value. But then you go, well, I want to invest because what else can I learn? And looking at yours, you don't ask for anything.
Yeah, so it's
which is good.
Yeah, so it's just realistically, one thing I've really learnt, and I've known this for quite a while, is people aren't coming to you for the the training and the nutrition and stuff like that. They are, don't get me wrong, but it's like everyone does that. You know what I mean? And you can get that stuff for free on the internet if you really want to. You could chat GPT it if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It might not be the best and might not be custom to you, but it's still going to get the job done to some degree if you really want to do it. They're coming to you for like the accountability, the mindset, the information, the guidance, the support is those are the main things they're coming to you for. So it's and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to really shift my attention moving forward to just like literally making in-depth sort of I guess you'd call it a course, but just give it away. You know what I mean? Go do it yourself, and if you need a hand, then obviously I'm here to help you out. But like, by all means, brother, go for it.
I like it.
Yeah. Got a few more, probably got about 2 or 3 questions before we wrap her up.
More too, yeah.
You want to go then?
Okay. I don't know how to ask this this isn't rude, but like, you've got like the following on Instagram, and you've got like the sponsor, you've got the nice car, and being a human, when you tend to get an ego, and I'm not saying you have an ego, you seem really humble, to be completely honest, but with all of these things and the following on Instagram, did you feel one develop, and did you have to fight that, or is it just...
Like, how do you stay grounded?
Yeah, how do you stay grounded? Because you're living like your dream.
Yeah, so I think, actually, funny you mentioned that. I used to like write all my goals out, and still do, but pretty much like all those goals I ticked off, so that's a big thing. I'd write your goals down, because then you actually have a future vision of where you want to be. But I think it's like for me, I'm like just nowhere near where I want to be. So it's always like trying to push to become a better version of yourself. And like if you think you're the man, you think that you know just better than everyone else, like you're not going to be able to get to that next level because you're not really trying to challenge yourself to be that next level. If that makes sense.
I think it comes down to ego, not having an ego, because that can destroy a lot of people. When they start getting big, their ego gets the better of them, then they crash.
Well, I think there's just a lot of negatives that come with, you know, there's a difference between confidence and ego. Like I have confidence in my own ability to be able to do things from the proof of, you know, being able to go through hardships and struggles and everything like that, which why I think they are so great in a way once you come through them is because you really understand what you're capable of. But an ego, like you're not willing to learn, you're not willing to take anyone's advice, you're not willing to actually like step outside your comfort zone because then you might, you know, realize that you're not as good as you think you are, and that's preventing you from doing more. So, you know, it's like, would you rather have an ego or would you rather do better and do more?
No, I do like that.
How did it feel when you achieved all of those goals? Did it feel how you thought it would? Or did you kind of get so used to what you were doing that when you hit them, you were like, okay.
Yeah, I think it's like
what's next?
Yeah. I think it's a day-to-day thing, really. And I think, you know, playing the game is more beneficiary than beneficial.
Yeah, that's
that's the one.
Beneficiaries are like finger at the bank.
Yeah. Someone else. Anyway, I think that is more of a benefit than actually achieving the goal, right? Working towards something is more fulfilling than having something. It's great to have it, but then it's like, what next? Like, so actually, this was one time I really did struggle, like mentally, is, you know, I kind of had achieved everything and I didn't like that I wanted to at that point, and I didn't have anything else that I was working towards. And, you know, I was pretty like financially free, like I could do what I want, I could work when I wanted, which was great. But that was a time where I really struggled with my mental health because I was like, okay, but like, you know, what's next? Like, what am I actually doing? Like, yeah. So, and then it became a thing of like, well, money's clearly not the thing that's going to make me happy. Like, I'd rather, you know, just shift my attention on actually like being able to help other people and have that fulfillment that comes with that, if that makes sense.
No, that's massive.
Yeah. We've interviewed some people that are pretty financially successful and they say the same
It's
thing.
like this guy here, Jim, he's like owner of Jim's Mowing, making like $1 billion a year or something. And he's like, I couldn't care about the money at all. I just want to make sure everyone's happy and I'm helping people. And it's like,
well, if you look at it, like there's a lot of people that build massive companies and they sell them for billions and billions of dollars and they never have to work again in their life. And one, they either become really depressed or they die shortly after, especially if they're old. Even people that aren't wealthy, that, you know, have worked, you know, 60, 70 years of their life, they retire and they die soon after because they've got nothing there to drive them to stay alive. You know?
That would have been daunting at your age too, because you would have experienced that as somebody that would have had that thought and that feeling. They're usually in their 50s. Like they're not doing that in their mid-20s going, I'm financially free and I've done everything I want to do. That would have been a bit of a harsh reality, hey?
Yeah, I think it was. And then again, like you know, it takes time to wrap your head around it and everything like that. And then it's, you know, again, just, you know, playing the game is again more beneficial than winning the game. It's not so much the outcome; it's the process of doing the work to get the outcome.
And how long did it take you to realise that it was actually going to be helping people was a solution?
Well, I always knew that I wanted to help people, and like even, you know, back when I was like, you know, 17, 18 or whatever, I knew, probably even younger than that, I always knew that whatever I wanted to do in life, I wanted to help people, but I wanted to you know, be financially free from doing it. I wanted to like be wealthy across all aspects, not just, you know, money. And I think people look at, you know, money as like sort of an evil, bad thing, but it allows you to help a lot more people.
Oh, yeah.
You also needed to live too. We battle that.
Yeah.
We feel bad and guilty about wanting to try and make money from this. And it's like, well, you need to pay the fucking bill.
Yeah. If you're stressed about, like keeping the lights on and everything like that, then you're not able to help people to the best of your ability. And then, one, you can do it at a scale. Like if you've got the finances to be able to do it, then you can help a lot more people and you can usually give away a lot more because you're not needing something in return.
Yeah.
How funny is that? Every successful person has gone out that we've interviewed to help people with no plan of financially rewarding themselves. It's more to just help people.
All the people who we've interviewed that have made millions have made them millions not to make it, but to do something else,
to help people.
Fund something else.
Yeah. Well, you know, to live a life where you are decently financially free and you can kind of like do what you want to a pretty big degree, it's not that hard to get to, really. You know what I mean?
Do you find it's the mental challenge? Like when it comes to actually doing the work, it's not actually that hard, but it's putting up with that mentality in the back of your mind every single day going, if this might not work?
Yeah, I think that's a completely normal thought. Like you're going to have days where you're like, this isn't working, this is failing.
What am
like,
I doing?
I want to quit. Yeah, like why don't I just go do something else? Like even just like working a 9 to 5 where I can shut my laptop at 5 p.m. and I don't have to think about work, you know what I mean? Like, you know, you have to deal with the sleepless nights, you have to deal with the long hours, you have to deal with the early morning wake ups to dive into work and, you know, the constant like racing of your mind. But at the end of the day, it comes down to it's like, do you really want it? Would you deal with that to get, you know, the result or the outcome that you're looking for? If not, just go work to 9 to 5. It's not for everyone. And
when you're in your 50s working a 9 to 5 you hate, are you going to hate yourself for not taking that leap? That's what I think about every time.
Exactly. People usually don't regret the things they did. They regret the things that they didn't do.
Yep. That's a good one, eh?
Yeah. And honestly, like, one thing I've really learned over the years is, like, failure is the fastest path to success because it's the biggest teacher, the biggest learner. You can literally fail your way to success. And no one that's ever had anything or succeeded in any aspect of anything has ever not failed to get there.
Mm-hmm. It's as we say all the time, it's like if you watched a movie where the main character woke up, went to work and then got everything he ever wanted in one day and then went home and lived a successful, happy life, you'd be like, oh, this is shit.
This is boring ass.
You wouldn't watch it.
Well, people want the end result without having to go through all the shit that gets you there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How do you build a resilient, like, person? You have to put them through hardship.
Mm-hmm.
How do you really, like, learn how to, like, master and control your own mental health and emotions if you haven't been tested for years on end to get to that point?
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned to love adversity.
That was us.
Just to fucking bathe in that, eh?
Same thing when I went through that first breakup. I'd never experienced it before, so everything just went haywire after that. And then, like, you know, obviously I have breakups as part of life. It's been fine since then because I just, like, understand what to expect and how to, like, maneuver through that entire process. So I guess initially that was a first failure, but it teaches you to, like, maneuver those situations when they come up again in the future.
100%. Yeah. Like I was saying, I went through that breakup and I probably didn't handle it the right way. But now I know if there is another one, hopefully not. We'll do that again. But if there is another one, I know how to deal with it now. But it coincides with almost anything in business, personal life, everything is you've got to fail to learn how to do it a different way and how to live with, you know, You've just got to go through it.
Pick up the dumbbell wrong and go, my back, I'm not doing that again.
Sometimes you have to learn the lesson the hard way, but then also go through the motions of trying to get what you're wanting and going through the hard roads to then have gratitude for what you've got.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of, like, negative emotions that come with failure. And, like, I know this applies directly to a breakup, and I'm sure it applies to, like, most failures. If you can learn to channel that negative energy into something positive, then you can come out the other end a much better person for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like if you go through a breakup and you just go and, like, numb all your senses with drinking and taking all these drugs and, you know, doing all that stuff, yeah, you're going to feel worse. You're probably not going to come out of it much better than when you went in.
Nah,
right?
bro, no.
But if you go through a breakup and you know, you're going to take the brunt of it. You're going to feel sad. You're going to feel lonely and alienated and depressed or whatever you feel. But if you channel that into, okay, I'm going to, you know, go to the gym and I'm going to start prioritizing myself again, or, like, even channeling into, you know, work or whatever it is that you want to channel into, then you can make a tremendous amount. You can cover a tremendous amount of territory in a very short period of time, relatively.
100%. Yep.
And that's like you. It's like you tried to run away from it, and it caught up to you so quickly. Like you tried to run away from, like, the 10-year breakup for, like, 8 weeks, 10 weeks or something. Yeah, and then right when you were like, hey, I'm good, it fucking right up behind you.
I had to go through 2 breakups. It was 2 breakups over the same girl. Oh, my God, bro.
Double whammy.
It sucked. I called Kirby and I went, this isn't good, bro. I'm in a bit of trouble. I'm not good. Yeah, no, that was tough. I've learned that the hard way. And just sit with these emotions, no matter however you're feeling. Just sit with them and not run from them, because I don't know what happens subconsciously to your mind, but it just gets stored in there, and then when you have enough time to really process it, it'll come out when you really don't want it to.
Yeah. Well, I think you get addicted to, if you're doing something about it and you're doing it in the right way, you get addicted to that process and that feeling as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, especially if you've been with someone for so long, you're just not used to being alone.
Yeah.
It's a very foreign feeling. But once you understand like how to truly be by yourself, that's where you like become a very powerful person, because you don't need to rely on anyone for your own mental well-being, your own direction or trajectory or whatever the case may be. You don't need to worry about what other people are doing, because it's just you, and you know that you're grounded enough to carry yourself through that.
And that's what I said
We've
to
done
Kirby.
a lot of purpose on the show.
Well, yeah, I said to Kirby, I was like, I need to learn how to be myself and be by myself before the next one. Otherwise, I'm just going to have the same issues I had in the last one.
Yeah.
I need to know that if this ends, I'm fine.
I see that a lot. People go, you know, they come out of a relationship and they're just too afraid to be on
face it.
their own. So they jump straight into another one.
Yep.
And it's like, eventually that's going to, you know.
This guy.
Yeah. I think, yeah, you need to like really figure out who you are and become that person of yourself that you want to be. And, you know, at the same time, I think of it as like, if you're in a relationship with someone and, you know, deep down you know that you're not going to be with them, or you don't want to be with them for the rest of your life, then one, it's only an eventuality till it comes crumbling down. And two, you're wasting time. And three, you know, you could meet your wife down at a cafe or at the grocery store or the gym or something like that. But you could be robbed of that
There's
opportunity
hope for
because you weren't willing to, you know, step up and be by yourself. So you could miss that opportunity altogether because you were too afraid to face.
Oh, that's so true.
Ooh, well done, Kyle. Well, like, you would see this a lot, though, right? Like, a lot of your, like, and I'm generalizing, but a lot of men go, I'm going to get into the gym right after a breakup. So do you get a lot of that? A lot of guys coming at you going, oh, I've just broken up with my missus, I want to get jacked.
Yeah, 100%. I get that a fair bit. And usually the story's the same. Like, I was, you know, decently fit going into it, and then, you know, I just let myself go, and it's like, I'm just coming out of the breakup. It's like, oh, fuck, I'm not going to do that. Like, you know, I mean, like, it's good for me to see, like, you know, getting into a relationship. In saying that, this is a bit of a side quest, but I think that, you know, you shouldn't let yourself go in a relationship, because one, you guys should be working towards becoming the best versions of yourself. You know what I mean? If you're just like settling or like, you know, letting yourself go, then it's like, well, are you really doing that? Not only with your health and fitness, but like in other aspects of life as well. You're just getting comfortable. And also keeping yourself, one, accountable for yourself, but like being the best version of yourself for your partner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's a big thing as well. Like, you know, you want to stay attracted. You want to keep living a great lifestyle with them. You know, otherwise, you just end up like sitting on the couch all the time, never going to do anything. Things get stale. You know what I mean?
Well, Well, I saw this thing on Instagram the other day, and it was like quite, not heavy, but it goes, you would die for your kids, but would you live for them?
Yeah.
And it's like dads that are getting like really big, and then they get bored. Yeah, like, and then they go to the gym to be able to play with their kids.
Yeah, so there's a few things around, especially like father figures and stuff like that. One is you're missing out on core memories and experiences making with your kids, because you can't go out and, you know, kick the footy with them. You don't want to go to the beach with them. You don't want to, you know, go camping or ride the bike or go canoeing or whatever it is, because one, you just don't have the energy. Two, you're not physically fit enough to do it anyway. You can't keep up with them. Or, you know, maybe you're just self-conscious because, you know, you don't want other people or your kids to see you in the state that you are. If you don't do anything to change that, then I think one, it's just stupid, and two, you're like, you know, just putting it off at the detriment to yourself and your kids. But secondly, and I think more importantly, is your kids are like learning from you. So if if they see you just constantly sitting on the couch and like eating super unhealthy foods, and you're feeding them the same unhealthy foods, and, you know, they see you just deteriorate over a long period of time, it's like they're more than likely going to grow up to be the same. It's like if you can, again, a lot of these things just coming down to asking yourself a question that a lot of people tend to avoid in this situation, to be like, if your kids grew up to be exactly how you are right now, would you be proud of where they are as a father? Not them, but as a father, would you be proud of that?
Yeah. Wow.
That's a great question, actually.
That's a deep one, eh?
Yeah. And I think a lot of people just avoid asking. Look, honestly, a lot of problems would just be solved if people were, you know, had the ability to look themselves in the mirror and ask these questions and come up with an answer, a legitimate answer, and you'd solve a lot of the questions you probably don't ask yourself.
But I mean, I guess that's the big difference between getting someone like yourself and as you said, like the Chat GPT. Like, that's not going to ask you that question.
Yeah, no.
It's you're going to go, I don't like you asking that. I'll go, sorry.
Well, I mean, even back at uni, they had this course, I think it was Health and Fitness of the 21st Century or some shit like that. And it was just all about, how to be able to like talk to people and approach people. And it's like, basically you can't say like, if someone comes to you and says, hey, like I want to lose weight and this is how I've been eating, you can't just be like, hey, like you can't eat that. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're eating KFC all the time, like you're not going to be able to lose weight. It's a pretty simple process.
Piece it together, people.
You have to kind of be like, well, like maybe can we like change this around? You have to like kind of beat, like they were teaching you to beat around the bush. And it's like, well, that's stupid. One, I'm not, paying to learn that. Like that has nothing to do with the actual science stuff that I want to learn.
You ask them to stop beating around the bush. Can we get to the course?
Yeah.
You've just come to me for help, and I can't tell you how to help them directly, which just causes, I think, confusion and misinformation around it. And I'm a very straight to the point type of person. Like, fat, you're fat. You got to, like, you got to face.
That's the funniest word. I don't know why.
Yeah, you got to face the facts at the end of the day. Like, it doesn't define who you are. It doesn't make you any less of a person, but you are fat. Like, if that's something you want to change, like, you've got to confront it first in order to be able to change it.
And it's as you said, it's not like you're walking up to a stranger on the street and going, you're fat. It's like, they're coming to you going, what do I need to fix? And he goes, well, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, like, there's a way of going about it. I think it's an empathetic, accountable approach. It's not sympathetic. Like, sympathy is like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you, like, yada, yada, yada. Empathetic is like, look, I understand where you're coming from, like, these things happen, yada, yada, you understand their situation, but it's like, hey, but these are the things we need to do to change it, like, at the end of the day.
We naturally a very empathetic person?
To a degree. I'm, like, not, like, super, You're
not an asshole, but you're not going to, like...
I guess I would just treat other people the same way, like, I treat myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I am, and I understand that, at the end of the day, you're a human, you're not perfect. There's situations that come up that can throw you off, but at some point, you've got to also pull yourself up, and you've got to face the facts, and you've got to put yourself in line.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to change.
Of course. So just one of the questions I had on here was, I want to ask about the haters. So do you see that there's a lot of people in your space on social media, and a lot of videos you see is of someone doing a video saying, train this, and then it's the video of them watching it going, that's completely wrong. And like everyone seems, like not everyone, I'm generalizing, but you know what I mean? You see a lot of those ones where they're criticizing each other. Have you had much of that, haters coming at you saying like, this is ridiculous what you're doing, and how do you battle and juggle that?
So I haven't had too many, which is surprising. Some of the stuff I've done.
Isn't it?
Some of the content I've done is pretty controversial. I haven't had too many, but I think one, like I can always support anything I say from science. Like it's there's been plenty of studies done, and it's a very proven thing. So if you're going to come up with crack at conspiracy theories, it's like you either don't know what you're talking about, or you're just trying to sell something to manipulate people. Yeah. And I'd happily argue with you all day long if that's who you are.
Game on.
Yeah. So there's that side of things, and it is that. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are happily going to be able to spread misinformation in order to profit off you. And this is a little bit frustrating being in the fitness industry, is there are so many people out there looking for a quick fix or an alternative or something else to blame besides, the relatively simple process that it actually is to get them to where they want to be. Yeah. They want a miracle quick fix. They want to be like, oh, it didn't work because I didn't try the carnivore diet. It didn't work because you didn't track your food and you went in calorie deficit. You know what I mean? Like, that's why it didn't work. You just don't understand it. And they don't want to confront that. So there's that side of things. So one, being always able to back up like any claim that you make from an actual scientific perspective. Otherwise, you're just, going back and forth and rambling, and who knows who's right. Secondly, I think, you get comments and stuff like that of people hating and everything like that. And there's different ones. Usually, like I had one guy the other day saying, oh, I saw an ad you made where you were like preying on, men's insecurities and everything like that. And I was like, how is it preying? Like if they're fat and they want to change that, then I'm offering a solution to get them to, in a much better physical and mental shape of their life than they are right now. And I've done that with so many other guys. I know this process works. One, usually like for that guy, I could see it's like a very victim mindset. People have victim mindsets. They want to push the blame off to someone else. But if you're pushing the blame off to someone else, you're not taking control. You don't have no control of the situation, so you can't change that situation. Yeah. You take accountability, then you can do something about it. So I think it's, at the end of the day, people don't shit on anyone that's doing better below them. Yeah. They only shit on people that are doing more than them, or it's coming from a place of internal insecurity.
And that's what I've seen a few times. It's like a really good post. It's like business owners won't judge you for starting a business. It's like, you know, bodybuilders won't judge you for starting to go to the gym. It's like, you know, it's only the people that are under you that are going to judge you for doing things.
Oh, you look at their profile or their profile picture or something like that. You're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Checks out.
It doesn't take long for me to not care about your opinion. You know what I mean?
But like,
if you were someone I wanted to like be more like, or you're in a place that I want to be like, okay, I'll take that on board 100%. But I've never had that in my entire life.
Did you have any mentors to get to where you are? Like anyone that you reached out to that helped you?
Yeah, heaps.
Yeah.
So more so for like the business side of things and everything like that. I've had plenty of coaches and everything like that through the years. But I think a mentor, like, don't get me wrong, you can do everything by yourself, whether it be business or fitness or whatever the case may be. There's plenty of, we're in the information era. You can do it by yourself. But realistically, all, you know, investing in a mentor does, or a coach does, is it closes the gap between, like, you could spend 10 years to figure out something that you could pay someone like 3 months to give you the information.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, at the start of, like, break it down from a business perspective, is realistically you've got all the time in the world, but you've got no money. So you have to trade your time for money. You know, you're working like a dog, you know, and eventually you get, you know, if you're doing good, then you get money to coming into the business or whatever, and you get a bit of capital, and then you can start buying back your time, and that's where you can really grow. So it's like, you know, if you've got the cash there, then you can leverage that to get a lot further into wherever you want to be, whether it be business or fitness or something like that, because you can go to an expert that's made all those mistakes, and then you don't have to make them.
Yeah,
No,
we reached out to one
sense.
guy that was a little bit ahead of us, and fuck, he helped us in 2 hours.
So much.
Yeah,
We're like,
so many. He probably saved us a few months. Hey,
yeah,
A
definitely.
few months and, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars, especially if you're talking about business and stuff like that. I mean, like,
Insanity.
yeah, you could go chuck up an ad on like Facebook and Instagram or something like that. If you have no clue how to set it up, or like how to, you know, do the actual advertising and stuff like that, you're gonna spend fucking hundreds of thousands, however much you spend on it. Or you could just go learn a course, which, funnily enough, that specifically, it's called Udemy. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that.
no, I haven't known.
You can go on there. It's fucking sick. You can buy these courses, and they're like $20-$30.
Oh.
In detail, full series. So I did like a advertising one, like the Facebook and Meta ads stuff, like how to set all that stuff up in the back end. I did that through there. And then I've also done an investing course and everything like that through there. And, you know, they're actually good quality courses, like very informational, straight to the point type things.
I was about to say, I'll write that down, but I've got it recorded. So I think it's all good.
People make the mistake of like thinking that education is expensive. You know what I mean? It's not. YouTube, you can get a bunch of free information. There's Udemy, or books are really underrated, I think.
Yeah, I'm no good with books though. Hey,
I listen to it. I can't read.
yeah, the Audible
I
stuff.
can read. I just can't read.
You just don't like to.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered most of our audience questions. Ones I'm going to ask you when we go off air, because it's really funny, but it's not good for the listeners. So the one that I've got here is, what's your number one non-negotiable for improving overall mental well-being?
In terms of improving mental well-being, we can talk about if you want to like refine it to an action, but honestly, I think it's just embracing the shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you know, things are going to suck at times. It's going to be hard. And just keep pushing forward, and you keep building up the mental capacity to be able to deal with that. Like, you know, the resilience to be able to do it. So embrace the shit and just keep moving forward. And, you know, things don't get easier. You just get better at handling them.
Yeah. It's kind of just accepting it for what it is and just moving on.
Yeah. From an action standpoint, doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
If you sit at home and you never go out, you know, you feel like shit all the time, you're depressed, you're sad, you eat terribly, you don't do anything to help you pull yourself out of that rut, it's going to take you a very long time to do it.
Yeah.
Go do something, force yourself to get out of the house. And again, that's why going to the gym is so valuable in those situations, because it's something you can immediately do and get an immediate return, both physically and mentally.
Yeah.
You can go get a pump, you feel great.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What's your favourite like exercise? I wanted to ask that as well. Favourite gym exercise?
I think all time it would have to be a barbell bench press.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He got to 100 today on the flat bench.
TV.
Huh?
A PB?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
It's pretty exciting. You got to 120 though.
120.
Fucking deflating.
3 reps for 120.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, that was the best.
Sorry, boys, the cameras have been a pain in the bum.
I said to my mate, the one who I was telling you about earlier today, I went, we got Kyler today. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, going to the gym. He goes, do it for Kyler. 120.
I don't even know you. I'm like, oh.
Just chuck it up on the video, just to prove it.
Yeah, I should have. I definitely should have. But yeah. Well, mate, look, we might wrap it up there, but I just wanted to ask, just for anyone listening at the moment who's always wanted to go to the gym and needs that spur of motivation, that thing that'll just tip them over the edge today, what's that kind of... What do you think? They need that spur, that thing to push them over the edge. What do you think it would be?
I guess the life you're seeking is in the work that you're avoiding. You know what I mean? If you want to become a person, a certain type of person, you have to work towards them. To become that person, you have to work towards it. And if you don't do anything about it, then nothing's going to change. So you're going to feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel anxious. There's going to be times where you want to doubt yourself, you want to quit. Just persevering through that and remaining persistent regardless of the things that come up will dramatically change your life for the better. But at the end of the day, no one's coming to save you. No one's going to do the work for you.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, I love that. All right, I'm going to ask this next one as a post-credit scene. So, yeah. Well, mate, look, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. As I said, I've been watching you for a long, long time now. And, yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
No,
Love
amazing.
Yous.
Thank you, Kyle.
Say it again. Love yous.
Love yous.